Because what you're learning is not relevant, not only to being able to make it in society, but even in terms of how to live on a day-to-day basis. It's just simply not relevant. And I'm not saying there aren't teachers who aren't working hard, there are. But the reality is that there are teachers in front of the classroom who simply don't belong there, number one, because they're not qualified to teach. And number two, who don't understand black children. And so people are, I don't want a teacher, okay, then open the door for black teachers and other teachers of color who want to get in, but where there are barriers, who know how to deal with our kids. Because when I go in those classrooms and I'm seeing children act up, there's a certain way that I can approach a black child that's related to our culture where they know, okay, Nekima's here, I need to sit down, I need to do X, Y, and Z. That's missing, that cultural piece is missing. And then when the teacher who doesn't understand the cultural pieces giving information to our children, they're not listening, that's because it's not the same tone, it's not the same inflection, it's not the same way that we communicate. And then the kids are blamed, and then they are sent to a school resource officer. And that in and of itself is part of a bullying culture. When those kids are sent to a school resource officer who gives them a citation or leads them away in handcuffs or abuses their authority, that is sending a message to our babies about their value within the school system, and that they're to be seen and not heard, or there are going to be consequences through the criminal justice system. So we need to look at the entire way this thing is structured, and we need to hold people accountable within this system and recognize that children can be redirected if we're willing to invest the time. But what about the adults who are responsible for the things that are happening in this system? And the other thing that I say, when we constantly blame African American people for our overrepresentation within the criminal justice system, number one, a system that we didn't build. Number two, a system that was redesigned in the aftermath of slavery specifically to entrap African American people. Number three, we don't write these laws and policies that continue to hinder and impact us, yet we're impacted by these systems. And we place the blame on black families and communities who've been disenfranchised since the beginning of our history. But yet we don't hold officers accountable when they abuse their authority. We don't question how were they raised, how were they parented, what neighborhoods did they grow up in, how have they been allowed to bully people and get away with it throughout this system. We look at the most vulnerable people and we blame them for what's happening, and that has to stop, because that's part of bullying as well. So I know that was a mouthful, but you guys get my gist of what I'm saying. And I'm sorry to have to leave because this is an awesome panel, and thank you so much for your vision in hosting this today. And I know that people will be impacted by this conversation.
Can I just say one thing though?
Yeah, real quick, and then we're going to transition. No, go ahead.
Yeah. That was a lot, and I'm not disagreeing, and I want to make sure that you know that from the very core, I do believe that racism is at the core of what the issues are. I also know that why I said there's a yin and a yang, because it isn't about blaming, but when we know we have children hurting, I believe that the biggest aggression that we have done as a society is that we've turned away from people who don't have. I took a family into my home for 4 months that were homeless. The children there, I bought them blow-up beds, camping beds, to sleep on. And the very first night afterward, because I didn't have the money to buy everybody a bed, and the first night after the 10-year-old had slept on the bed, she came downstairs and said, "Oh my God, I feel so good." And I said, "Oh." She said, "I've never slept on a bed before." That to me is a macro aggression of our society, that anyone will allow a child to not have a bed, to not have food, to not have glasses, to not have what they need, like every other child needs. That there has been white privilege, and it's time for it to stop. So at the same time, we also can't turn away when we have kids coming to school who are hurting, and it's coming out in different ways, whoever they are. We have to turn and say, what do we need to do now here? This is no longer acceptable for us to say, it's okay, well, shape up, go home, and we'll see you tomorrow, and you shape up as a child. No, we need to shape up as a system. And we need to shape up as an educational system, because so often teachers, we're told this is it. that's it, this is what you do, this is the amount of time you spend. It's not a free-for-all. And so we too are rebelling against what it is we're being asked to do because we don't think it's right either.
Let me ask this question. Because we made a commitment that we would come and present action plans, but in order to do that, we had to be able to be relatable. And so that mirror effect, this conversation, allows individuals to say, wow, that's me. Or, yeah, that's what I'm going through. And even our teenagers is equally so. So before you leave, give us an action plan. Just one thought that would allow us to go back into the marketplace, go back into the pulpit, go back into the streets, and do something differently. Just that thought. And the same for you also, Attorney Ken.
So I'll just say, I'll say brief, that's huge in terms of an action plan, but I thank you for moving us in that direction. One thing that I think that we can do is continue to demand equitable outcomes within our criminal justice system. We need to renew our commitment to address the evils within that system from top to bottom. What's happening with unarmed African Americans being killed by police is a manifestation of an overall wicked and corrupt system that's oppressing the most vulnerable people. And oftentimes those burdens fall upon poor African Americans and Native Americans. And so when you look at what's happening in our local community, when we hear of someone being arrested and cited or dragged out of school, and it's unacceptable, we need to be willing to take to the streets. We need to be willing to express it across the pulpit and in the community and go up to those schools and march and protest and say, we want to see a change, we demand a change, and we need to hold our white brothers and sisters accountable for standing alongside us and demanding a change as opposed to being silent and being comfortable with the way that things are happening. So that's what I would like to see, a renewed commitment, and we need to start calling it a bullying culture within law enforcement and within the criminal justice system. So we need to name it.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nekima Levy-Pounds. And I know that she has to leave. Go ahead, and however you would like to do that. Thank you.
Me too, I have to go. But like I said earlier, I'm a very simple person. And that is the one fundamental change that we can do or we can have is for all of us to try the best we can to be educated. That gives us, one, the analytical ability and the context of where our problems are. Education. Our kids, if you're 70 years old, 80 years old, you can, if you're a baby, make sure your child is educated. Education. No one can take that away from you. They can't do that. And finally, when you get that education, realize something, that God controls this country as he controls any place else. And because the word tells me that I am special, I tell people, come back next year and see how good I'm going to be. That's it.
All right.
It was interesting that when you started this piece here, agitator.
Stirred up. We
Irritant.
got stirred up. You know, we were all kind of nice, and everybody was all nice. And I'm like, I didn't come 1,300 miles to be nice. I want to get to some stuff so that we can leave here with some action, as you said.
Yes.
Now, here's what we need to do.
And that's how we get the pearl.
Exactly. I know we got to get Kim because I want to get that fashion piece in, but I want to transition, if we can, and bring the spoken word so that we kind of breathe a little bit because we got kind of hot. And that's fine for me, you know, but, you know, I want us to breathe, and then we're gonna transition to what's going on and all we've talked about in the fashion industry. And then I want my sister Neva to do what she does so well, which is to summarize this portion. Because all she does is just lay in the cut and listen.
She's the coolest
She's-
revolutionist.
I swear. It's like, that's the one you got to worry about.
And a rebel.
That's the one that's going to get you.
With a cause.
Right in front. You got the mic in front. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear the spoken word. Then we'll give Kim a little bit to talk about it from a fashion perspective. And then we're going to give a little summary. And then we're going to transition from there.
Now check this out. That word systematic, remember? Did y'all go in the corner and talk a little bit?
No.
What was that big word you used on the show this past Friday? System. You said systematic. Yes.
First of all, just for a quick second, I'm excited because I'm a little distracted. I apologize to my daughter. She's like, Mom, I have something new, and it's on topic. And I said, okay. The spoken word piece is she's been doing a specific spoken word when she goes to different venues. And I'm just excited right now. That's why I'm a little taken aback. I'm excited that she is a part of this and that she is actively a part of what we're talking about and understanding. There's some things that you just can't get into your children from your mouth, no matter what you say, how you say it, how many times you say it. It kind of takes some opening up. You have to bring them into other influences and other people. And so right now I'm in mommy heaven. I'm in mommy heaven because, as you see her, I have to protect her every day, whether it is physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and so
Kim, why don't we do this?
Yes.
Why don't you introduce
Yes.
your daughter and the spoken word?
Well, this is my daughter, Ayana Washington. We call her Yana. She is a sophomore getting ready to be a junior next year at St. Louis Park High School. She has a very unique perspective on bullying and on being a champion of those who have been bullied and being bullied herself, being the bullier, all the way around, and not letting those things stop her. She's gone through her own situations. She's championed some of her own situations and continues to do so. And as a mother, I'm just proud to see her be able to stand up and be a part of something like this, whereas I don't know if she would have done this a few years back. She has her own voice, and I'm just here to guide it, but she is an A and B student, and she's a theater kid who can dunk. She learned how to play basketball. She said, Mom, I'm going to learn how to play basketball so I can dunk, and just say, you just got dunked on by a theater kid. So I am just proud to introduce to some of you and present to others Ayana Washington.
Again. Oh, okay. I changed the spoken word because I was actually listening, and I found one a few years ago. Like my mother said, I go to St. Louis Park, and I'm in 3 advanced classes at my school, and being in those advanced classes, I was always the only African-American girl, period. So I had to deal with a lot of the kids, like, just looking at me in different ways. If I didn't understand something, I never wanted to ask, because all the other kids got it, and I'm sitting here looking stupid. So when I actually found this poem, I actually almost started crying, because I'm like, finally, somebody else gets it besides me. Thank you. So it's a poem by Kai Davis. And yeah. What do I look like? No, really, what do I look like? You look like you got me messed up is what I look at. You looking at me like I'm not supposed to be standing here next to you, like we in the same class, but your idea of advance is too advanced for me and my mind can't match you. I think it's my vernacular, how I got half the continents and twice the apostrophe, so my philosophy can't be valid. Like I speak slave and you speak slave master. This isn't a plantation, it's a classroom. White people think they run things because they got the money to buy a thesaurus. You say gargantuan, I say big as heck. Still, big as heck don't really matter. I guess AP stands for jerkwad potentialness. And if you don't know what that means, look it up, find a synonym. You like doing that. You also seem to like judging a book by the color of its author. Because apparently Maya Angelou is inferior due to her grammatical errors, but white man Mark Twain can write a whole novel with nothing but grammatical errors, and that messes a literary masterpiece. Well, I can't help but to part from my people slang, because real niggas ain't real niggas if they don't got a twang. I just want to apologize for me mugging from the back of the classroom. Talking about existentialism like an OG boss is not your boss vibing me. Real niggas can't vibe me either, because as soon as I raise my hand for anything other than a bathroom break, I become a weirdo. And God forbid I excel. A 4.0 means I'm 4 shades lighter, because apparently intelligence is a white trait. At least that's what I've gathered. This one girl asked me, why would I use big words? So I can sound like you? You know what I sound like? Like I read a book before. I act smart, so I act white. So I can't be black and be smart because black people are dumb? All this is self-hate, and to them that's acceptable. Because white people told us niggas not to read 300 years ago, and now niggas telling other niggas not to read. What is there to be afraid of? It's like we think giving 100% means getting 100 lashes, and my people don't even know we are working with our oppressors. Just passing on the court when we can't pass the bar, because the bar has been set so low that we are crushing under the weight. And you expect me to cut class and get an F just to perpetuate the stereotype that is instilled through this stupid curriculum? What do I look like? I will never equate stupidity with my melody, nor will I ever sacrifice my skin for the white man's standard. So never ask that I speak for anyone but me, represent anything but what I stand for. And if anybody expects me to do anything but be me, they got me messed up.
Thank you. Ayana Washington, thank you.
Ayana, go ahead and greet the nations. Tell them who you are. One of our royal teens.
My name is Ayana Washington. I am 16 years old, and I go to St. Louis Park High School, and I am a sophomore.
What's getting ready to happen, we're going to transition, and you're going to hear our young people. They will take the platform and you will hear them talk about some of what we have talked about, but from their vantage point. And this is the SB Barber Morning Show, and brought to you by Grace Media Network, The Legacy, in partnership with Harrison Neighborhood Association. And I am honored to thank our partners and our sponsors, and their names are listed. Minneapolis Federation of Teachers, to the left, President Lynn caught this passion. And, you know, when we met one another, we just clicked. And I said, I got to do something, and you got to help me. We gonna do it. But my point in mentioning this is, you don't wait until opportunity. When you are called and assigned, you are opportunity. You are the breaker. You break through the barriers. And there might be some issues that you have to deal with, confrontations and all of that. But when we hear from Yana Washington and a Master Meek G. Stalling and your children, they get a clearance to come right behind us, and they bring it. Did you enjoy that young royal team? Come on, I want to hear it. Come on. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. We don't want those voices silenced. We want their voices to live and to do exactly what it was designed to do. Replicate and come right behind one another. So on that note, we elders and Kim, yes.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to transition. I want my young people to get ready because we're going to blend you in with the elders. I don't believe in elders and then young people. So we're going to get some more chairs and we're going to make this family. So y'all get ready. But I want to go back to the fashion industry because in what I heard in Miss Washington's presentation is image, is skin tone, is what you perceive me to be, and we get that from your industry, entertainment and fashion. They dictate and determine who is and who ain't, who should be and who can't. See, I just rhymed, so if y'all want to pick me up, I'm available. But I'm trying to get in. See, my sister keep nodding her head. But anyway, I can beatbox too, but I'll save that for later. But anyway, so how does your industry, especially you being in it and being who you are, how does the industry portray bullying from a standpoint of either you're with us or you're not? And if you don't look like us, then you are shunned on many different aspects. Talk a little bit about that. Open that up.
First and foremost, as an artist, a stylist, I'm always hearing the things that I'm not supposed to hear from some of everybody, whether that be the producer of the photo shoot or the fashion show, the models that are involved, the client. Sometimes I don't come in as the makeup artist, I come in as the art director. Other times I come in as the hairstylist. So I get to be in different parts of it, and coming from a background of being a model myself, you know, I understand all 360 pieces of it. But the biggest thing that the fashion industry is at fault for is the notion of we all are this. If the color is green this year, it's green. And if you wear purple, gratitude. If the color is red this year, it's red. If it's matte lipstick, it's matte lipstick. And if you are not in it that way, you are not cool. You are not one of us. You know, if you bring it by Mr. J, who everybody knows from America's Next Top Model, and he says it's not cool, then, oh my gosh, it's not cool. Well, the problem with that is this, and Tyra Banks says it all the time. Couture is one step out of ghetto fab. Everything that shows up on the runway has already been on the streets. And that's a piece of what we're missing from the bullying. That's the piece that we're missing from what you were speaking about and what Dr. Nekima was speaking about. It's the piece that's missing here. Everything recycles, it perpetuates, it goes into the street realm, and it takes what's happening there and brings it back over here and says, let's repurpose it. And the problem is, and I'm not saying black streets and I'm not saying white streets, I'm saying the streets, period. So the problem is what happens is on the socioeconomical levels, on the civil rights levels, on the police brutality levels, they have taken what happens in these organized crime situations, whether it be the Italian gangsters, the Irish gangsters that end up coming over here and becoming gangsters because of their situation, where they were from, and they got here and found out, oh, I'm white, I get privilege now, because where I was, being white wasn't it. I was whiter than everybody else, and I was still bullied. So now I can get over here and bully all these other people, or it's from the black gang, and they bring those systems into the bigger systems and play it back out. So when we watch Scarface, and we watch all of these, you got all these black male rappers that want to be white gangsters. It kills me every time I go into a video shoot and they tell me they want to do something like Al Capone. And I'm like, how about Shaka Zulu? How about it? How is it that the biggest black man in the industry of rap, Jay-Z, wants to be the smallest white man that has ever lived? Don't understand it to this day. But, you know, hey, I guess that's what makes him cool. But that's the system that they're going out to grab. So in the fashion system, what happens is they go and they look at what's going on in the streets. What does the little black girl Chiquita look like over on 7 Mile? What does little Lee Tong look like over in Hong Kong? You know, what does Tao look like over here in Vietnam? What does, you know, and I don't know how to pronounce all of the names, but what does she look like in Thailand? What does he look like in Kenya? What, they're taking all of these cultures and repurposing them into a system that says it's ours. Now, right now, today, it's a trend to have dreads and be white. Problem is that when we had them, we didn't embrace them. When all of a sudden the flowy hair girls started putting locks in their hair with the flowy hair, even though people like Lisa Bonet have been doing it for I don't know how long, you know, even back to Ziggy Marley and all of Bob Marley's children, not all of them, but the majority of them are mixed. We don't talk about that. But they don't have nappy black hair. They don't have kinky hair. So it takes the peanut butter and the, oh, because I done some white dreads, so I know how to, you know, get some rubber cement, some peanut butter and some gum, and get it together, and make it stick, and, you know. So when everybody else was doing these things and was in the mainstream, and then the understream didn't want to take a part of it, and now fashion says, oh, this is cool. We can wear box braids. My name is Rita Ora. I am the whitest chick on the planet, and I can put some box braids in my hair, and I'm going to get more press out of it than Beyonce. And now the little girls who didn't, Mom, don't put those braids back in my hair because when I go to school, everybody's going to pick on me. They're going to ask me, when's the last time I washed my hair? They're going to ask me, how do I get the lint out? When do I brush it? Do I take a shower? So instead of Beyonce putting the braids in her hair and putting them up in a gorgeous bun and looking like a queen, and us being able to say, now baby, Beyonce wasn't a queen when she was shaking her bootylicious, but right now she is a queen. This is how we're supposed to look. So if you're gonna look up to Beyonce, only look up to her in the right things that she is doing and not everything that she is doing. But we can say, okay, baby, don't worry about it. I'm not going to take you to the African braiding shop to get your hair braided or learn any part of your culture outside of you being a black girl who doesn't want to go to school and get bullied. And I can say this because you saw my daughter. Today she has her hair twisted up. She's in the middle of having 4 inches of new growth and the end is relaxed because she thought she wanted a relaxer. Okay, baby, get a relaxer. Oh, Mom, I want to shave off my sides. Okay. Mom, I think I want an afro. Great. Mom, I want box braids. Okay. Mom, today I want a weave and I want it blue. All right. But we're going to talk about all of these things. And so those things, she watches anime. She is on the World Wide Web and goes and sees what the little girls are doing over here, what the guys are doing over there. And because she goes into school and they don't know where to place it, and the adults sincerely don't know where to place, they don't know where to place me. They scared of me when I walk in the room. So then they see her and they're like, oh, they're all weird. And then my 18-year-old comes in looking as normal as I don't know what. I don't know where she got it from. But, you know, these are the things that we don't realize, is that those systems, and see, I veered off a little bit, and a lot of people will take that and say, okay, she's not talking about those systems anymore. I am. I'm still talking about those street systems that they brought into our mainstream systems of systematic bullying. It has nothing to do with color as much as it has to do with where we want to place you. Because let me break why I say it doesn't have anything to do with color down. My mother was born in Anoka. And Anoka is the white trash area of Minnesota. Anoka was where they outcasted a lot of the farmers. Anoka was also where they outcast the white criminals. The jail was right there, right in the main town, right on Main Street. And so if we decide as a society, whatever color you are not us. Period. At whatever timing. Because what happened was they said, you're not us. You're breaking the law. You might be blonde, but you're not our kind of blonde. We're going to put you out here. Out here, nobody comes and does news reports. Nobody comes out here and says, hey, these white kids are all poor. They're all being abused. They're all this. They're all that. They've never slept on a bed. But it gets glorified that little black girl has never slept on a bed. But little Susie, who has never slept on a bed, nobody talks about her. Why? Because we got to push her out there. We don't want you to know about her. Because if you know about her, then that demeans me. You're not part of us. Go out there. So then when we come and try to take over North Minneapolis, we can then bring Shaquita, Tiffany, Jill, whoever, and bring them all out to Coon Rapids and Anoka, over here with Susie and Lily and all of these other people who have never slept on a bed. All y'all go out to the same place. Be in the same place. All y'all can be a problem all together. The jail's right down the street. The sheriff lives in the neighborhood. All you guys will be in jail by the time you're 20. Male and female. And then this is how it gets perpetuated image-wise in the fashion. So now, all the white trash, they're all criminals too. Rita Ora dates a gangster rapper. She is now a stripper. Oh yeah, I've had my days on the pole. Why is that being glorified? Why are you, whatever you're doing to perpetuate this street system of what you think is cool, okay, you have perpetuated that, and now I got box braids, I got a big butt, I'm blonde as all get out, but everything else about me is supposedly black. And your kids love me. And that's where it comes. And so I get put into a box because I do makeup and I do hair. And, you know, I talk to companies about, and entrepreneurs and artists, look the part of the paycheck you want to receive. And that comes with a lot of controversy. Because if you want to receive this paycheck, I might not work with you, but I will tell you what you're doing, you're probably not going to get that paycheck because you're not ratchet enough. You're not, you know, down to earth enough. You're not feeling it enough. So I can't work with you, but this is what you might need to find. And then let me alert my circles. That one over there, don't mess with that one. Because they don't have any good for us in mind. Because they're going to get into the marketplace no matter what. Because if they're talking to me, they have money. So they're going to get there. So I have the choice of whether to help them get there or not. And so when I gave my life back to Christ, I said, Jesus, I need to be able to impact the kingdom. I am tired of seeing gospel artists, Christian businesses, people who are in any industry who stand for God and looking subpar. That is bullying on its own. We get put into a box because you're a gospel artist, you got to be on the chitlin circuit. You know, you are a professor at your school that's not a Christian-based school. Oh, you know, that's just Professor so-and-so, and she believes in God, not the Big Bang. I don't know where she went to college. And for me, as a single woman in the fashion industry, oh, that's that Christian makeup artist. She don't go to no after parties. So we probably shouldn't hire her for this, because she's going to judge us while she's doing everybody's makeup. She's going to judge us like, you know, don't cuss around her, not because I respect the God in her, but don't cuss around her because she's going to think that we don't go to church. I mean, we go to a club Saturday night, but we go to church on Sunday morning. So don't, you know, so maybe don't bring her in, because we just don't want to be under that kind of scrutiny. You know, maybe don't bring her in because she's going to say Jesus one too many times. You know what? Don't bring her in because when we want to put the black girl that's a size 12, the only black girl on the runway that's a size 12 and everybody else is a size 0 to 2, and we want to put the black size 12 in the booty shorts, she might say something. Because I was her. I would wonder why everybody else on the runway would have on clothes, and here I come jiggling with booty shorts on. What is really good? How did I get so juicy? What happened? Really? I mean, okay. But, you know, little Jessie over here with the toned abs couldn't put this on. Because you have it in her size. I see it on the rack. Those are the things that we don't think about. Once we see, we just go, oh, the fashion industry is one-sided because they only show this, this, and that, and nobody is there looking like us. That's not the truth. There are many of us there looking like us. The problem is that we don't buy into it. We don't support it. We say, oh, I can buy this magazine that is not as glossy, that has the girl with the dreads on it and the graphics aren't as great, or I can go buy L, and we go buy L. And half the time, a lot of us that are on panels like this buy L so we can complain about L. And we pass up the subpar graphic, dreadlocked woman who's on the same shelf. When on GP, we should have just grabbed her. Or at least grab them both so you can go ahead and complain about L, but let's support Sister Abdullah too. That's the problem. And so being the one who makes the image of what you're going to buy, I know what you're buying because what you're buying is what I get hired for. And guess what? What you're not buying is what I have to do pro bono. And so now my kids have to eat ramen instead of steak because I am more conscious and too conscious to sit back here and just allow the images that you're buying only to come out. I have to take 4 and 5 days out of a week and do free work to make sure that my baby gets to see something other than what you're buying. So 2 days of pay and 5 days of free. So that my niece, who's out in Philly, when she grows up, she can see somebody that looks like her. My 5 days of free is what allowed a Lupita to come in and be celebrated. My only 2 days of work, however, is what allows Ellen to get paid more than her. Even though Lupita will push way more products than Ellen ever will.
I have a comment to that. Do you mind? I feel like as I was just riveting by what you were just saying, and I'm going to be very brief. But what you just captured is really the essence of what we're struggling with as a community. And I was trying to think as a psychologist that I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the byproduct psychologically of what you're talking about. What happens with our kids when they hear that is it looks like being different is being deviant. And different has never been equated with deviance on purpose, but unintentionally. Somehow that's the message. And so even in the schools, when we see, or even in the communities, we see kids bullying through isolation. They isolate each other. And they cyberbully. They do it through emails, through Instagrams, through Facebook, all these different ways of saying, I fit, you don't. And I think when we were talking about it on a more systemic level, I wanted to talk about it a little bit more about the psychological part. Because when people get isolated or when they get excluded, psychologically, 2 things happen. Well, 3 really. One thing happens is that we begin to question our very humanity and our existence. That's the first thing that happens. And when people feel threatened, the way our brain is set up is that there's like 3 parts to the brain, and in the middle is kind of the emotions. In the beginning, it's like the brain stem, but the prefrontal cortex, the part in front of our brain, is the last part to develop. It doesn't even fully develop until you're 26. So you can't even think through consequences until you're 26. You can't say, if I do this, this will lead to this, and this, and this. We can't do it. So psychologically, kids aren't thinking, and adults aren't thinking, because you can't. And when you're threatened, when you're excluded, which is a form of threat, psychologically, the part of your thinking brain, it goes offline. And you start fighting. Fight, flight, freeze, or submit. And when we submit, that means I can't handle it. And sometimes that submitting behavior leads to suicide. It's like the lion is after you. You know you're going to get it. You might as well let it go. And so the psychological impact of not fitting on those multiple parameters, it leads to sleeplessness, eating disorders, drinking, all kinds of addictions. We see kids skipping school not because they don't have the lesson, because they can't tolerate the pain of sitting in a classroom where people are saying you don't belong. This is a powerful thing. That's what we're fighting, sister. Not belonging. Not belonging in the bigger world, not belonging in our community. So if we're going to talk about bullying, we need to see that it has a price, a psychological and spiritual price. And it does not stop.
Well, my sister Neva has the extreme honor of wrapping this up.
Yes. And when she does, here's what's going to happen. You need some time to process this. That's the way it was supposed to work. Because by divine movement, you don't know what you're getting ready to face. And this is helping somebody. The next segment that's going to happen, we're going to take the break after commentator Neva Walker wraps this up. But I know there's some things on her heart, and I've got to get her with our teenagers and Dr. BraVada. And they're going to do this, and then after you have that breakout session, they only need about half an hour, and just have that breakout time with them. Then they're going to come back, and we want to hear them. We want them to express themselves, and they've got something to say. They've got something to say. And they might even want to do it before the breakout session, but we don't want to deny that. That's what I promised that would happen, that they would be able to have that time, that private time, to be able to communicate and just go there, and then come and walk through and talk, their talk. And that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that. So young people that are with us, I'm trusting that you will hang with us because it's your time. This has all been about you. It really has, your origin. It's been about you. All right.
Ooh-wee, let's get ready for the youth. How thankful I am to have been able to share. You know, I think for the folks that were listening, you might have thought that you were going to hear about the schoolyard, what's happening with the children fighting each other at the schoolyard. Hopefully you were able to expand and at some points even get uncomfortable so you can grow and learn with the rest of us around. We're talking about the educational system, not just with the teachers, but the entire systems of education. We're talking about not just trauma, but the psychological damage that we actually are birthed into a society with our family, our community, our jobs, our workplaces, and our criminal justice system, the systems that traps us into certain bondages. Kimberly dropped it with the fashion and entertainment systems, right? Things that we take for granted. Some of it we get caught up into thinking about particular images, but not necessarily how it's impacting us as individuals, let alone our children. With Nekima and Kenneth having to leave, I'm so thankful that we were able to get their seeds before they left, right? Because police brutality is part of the system. We keep blaming our children, keep blaming our black men, keep blaming our brothers and sisters for the ills of our societies. We actually say our children are problems. The problems that we have are because of our youth. Our youth only emulate what we are. We learned from our elders. We passed it on to our young people. We are the ones that expect our young people to understand conflict, be able to learn regardless of what's happening in their household or what they've seen on the streets when they got to school, how they had to dress or not be able to be dressed, whether they're in Minneapolis or St. Louis Park or what have you. But we are the ones that are saying, you just get it together. Get it together. Dr. B talked about we're just supposed to move on and forget, but yet we're the ones as adults that haven't moved on. We're still mad at our sister for something that happened 5 years ago, and we ain't talking to our TT because some inheritance money, or we got mad at our ex who is our baby's father and said we ain't dealing with him or his side of the family, but we're supposed to expect our children to pick it all up and get it together with their image, get it together psychologically, and get it together and go to school, and not to get involved in the criminal justice system. Yep, not gonna happen. Can't wait to hear the youth.
Woo! Glory, glory, glory. Woo, okay.
I knew what I was doing when I had her wrap it up. What y'all thinking? I knew what was going on. I digress.
We're going to hear from Tylyriq. Tylyriq.
They make it tough to come up here, don't they? Honestly. It's amazing that God shifted this whole conversation this way, because the song that I'm doing is pretty much about everything that was being talked about. And I didn't know how it was going to tie in. I was just telling Deborah I had no idea how this song is going to tie in, but with all the political injustices that have been going on and all the situations that we've been seeing and dealing with, it's the perfect song. So I pray that you just, you can close your eyes and just open your hearts to receive. So it's all I pray. The song is called I Pray. Can I get a little bit more of a microphone in my mouth? And I'm praying that it blesses you the way it blessed me when I wrote it. Yeah. The whole world is twisted. Most of the talented and gifted are labeled in this world as misfits. Disbarred and dismissed. Used to getting nothing for Christmas, so they still to fulfill what's missing. They smart yet ignorant. They spend their whole life trying to fit in. Question their existence when they try and never get in. It's crazy. Girls ain't even teens having babies. Boys out here stunting, swearing they doing something. They tell them they gon' be together forever. To reality set in and they crack under pressure. Hope that you learn a lesson. But winding your mistakes is out the question. It's more to life than fast money and sexing. Young people stay in school, get a profession. Stay up off the streets cause the struggle don't cease. It's time to break the cycle. Lord, send a revival. Help me show them the way. Don't let them stay astray. I pray that God opens your eyes and helps you to see that it's Him and not me. I pray you understand that Ty's just a man that wanna be who God called him to be. Yeah, that's all I pray. So I pray you think out of your flesh and know that my now decisions are for my best. Yes, so I pray I don't lose you, cause I just want to do what God told me to do, not what you want me to. See the rich getting richer, the poor getting poor, yet we still don't get the picture. They say racism dead, I just say they pass the torch, cause our president is black, but we still call each other nigga. Their plan has succeeded. No matter how you see it, it's time to expose the truth. No time for no secrets. We all fell for it and thought it was all good. When our self-confined slavery's being stuck in the hood, we comfortable with having less because that's all we know. We cool with food stamps and working just to be broke. We cool with temp jobs and SSI checks, eating rations for days, living from door to door, selling drugs and getting laid. Women cool with having sex with any man that pursue. Men down for the cause as long as they let them do it. And some folks will brush it off, probably call me a fool, but a fool is somebody that don't take heed to the truth, I know. So I pray that God opens your eyes and helps you to see that it's Him and not me. I pray you understand that Ty's just a man that wanna be who God called him to be. Yeah, that's all I pray. So I pray you think out of your flesh and know that my now decisions are for my best. Yes. So I pray I don't lose you, cause I just want to do what God told me to do, not what you want me to. See, I don't think that they get it. It ain't a cure for HIV, but Magic's still living. And Sean Bell died, the police got paid off. I think somebody getting robbed the way that they made off. I ain't trying to be rude, I'm just speaking the facts. Look it up for yourself before you start to react. And I'm sure you want to know what's the purpose for this song. I was just reading Proverbs and realized a couple wrongs. I lied my whole life, now I'm living the truth. And I want people to know there's a reason for what they do. Me, I do this for the Lord. I don't do this for my health. And if you want to change the world, you got to start with yourself. Live up to your potential. And when the problems hit you, pray and keep pushing on. Don't let them kill your mentor or get you down. So don't get mad at me, because I just want to be the man God called me to be. So I pray now. So I pray that God opens your eyes and helps you to see that it's him and not me. I pray you understand that Ty's just a man that want to be who God called him to be. And that's all I pray. So I pray you think out of your flesh and know that my now decisions are for my best. Yes. So I pray I don't lose you, because I just want to do what God told me to do, not what you want me to. Hands up, Dorsey. Rest in peace to Trayvon Martin. Rest in peace to Freddie Gray. Rest in peace to Mike Brown. Cause I just want to do what God told me to do, not what you want me to. God bless y'all, Tylyriq.
Ty, before you walk away, what is that, even as the music is still playing, what is that last thought that you want to impart in our young people?
The last thought, I think the first and last thought that I want to impart to young people would be, you don't have to be subjected to everything that you're subjected to in your mind. It's all about how you think, how you perceive yourself, how you see yourself. Growing up, I had it rough, had it tough. I went through a ton of stuff, and the one thing that I could say is I could have taken it and let it overtake me. I could have fallen, I could have been broken, and I was broken at one point. But my choice was to get up and not stay there. And that was my choice that I made, is I can either stay here and be here forever and be subjected to everything that comes with that, or I can change my mind about it, stop being optimistic. And in that optimism, I got saved, God changed my life, and now I do this full time. I'm able to be a musician, I'm able to be a minister full time, I'm able to see young kids' lives be changed on a consistent basis. I'm able to see my family who's still there, where I came from, listen to my music and call me and say, wow, that song, I was dealing with this yesterday and I listened to this and it changed my life. Let them hear my brother Devin's song, CD, changed my life. And that's what we do. We're here to show you that we came from the same circumstances that you came from, and we're doing something positive. We chose not to take the opposite road that you see on TV 24/7. And it may be less popular, but it's way more, it's amazing. It's way more amazing than what you think. I'd rather see somebody's life be changed from what I do than to make money off killing somebody through my words. And that's what I want you to take. You can either be positive or you can be negative. There's no in between. You can't play the fence. If you're playing the fence, you're negative. You can either be positive or you can be negative. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. That's the only thing I have to say. God bless you.
That's word. That's word. Well, Elder D, we wanted this setting so that we could have this expression of just higher aspiration, higher awareness, higher learning and cleansing also. Cleansing, just getting it all out of the crevices and those places and all those bad images and vibes and everything. And we had to go down deep first and just dig at it and dig at it and dig at it until you started sensing some relief. Young people started saying, okay, I think they get it. I mean what I just said, but from their vantage point. I think they get it, okay? We get it because we really do have it. And what we're desiring is that we can reconnect with our young people so that we can fully impart, fully release them the way it's supposed to be, that they know that they can feel that wind in their back from us, regardless to what they're facing. Regardless to
Such a competitive sport. My glass is still on.